let's take a look actually at the first footage that anyone outside of Massive, or actually outside of Ubisoft, that has seen of Falcon Lost. We're going to hang out and talk about Incursions for you, but let's take a look at how this Incursion starts, because I think it's kind of important. It's actually underground. I don't know if we said that. We showed the room from the concept art, but we didn't say that this is underground.
Yeah, it's underground. You start by going down into the sewers, and that then leads into the big room.
Yes, the big room being part of. So I told you I talked to Noel on the narrative side. This is a water treatment facility, which is obviously pretty important for a New York that is kind of struggling.
Yeah.
Water treatment, things are going to go pretty bad if you don't have water treatment, right? It's going to smell bad. It's going to be super unhealthy. But the LMB have kind of figured that whole thing out. They're like, okay, if we're going to retreat somewhere, let's go to this place. Because, one, it makes it very hard for us to be attacked. Two, it makes it a really bad idea to bomb it. You can't obviously do a huge explosive strike because, you know, you're going to cause a huge mess. And you need this place. So that was on the narrative side. How involved have you guys been with this incursion specifically?
So this incursion has been made in Annecy by the part of our team in Annecy. They have done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And they have done most of the development for it. We have discussed it in the beginning. We have discussed it throughout the development of the incursion. We have play tested it, and we have worked a lot with them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I spoke to Matthias Duclos. I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong. My bad. My pronunciation is terrible on these things. Who's the project manager over in Annecy. And so these guys worked on some of the missions that people are obviously familiar with from the game right now. So it's Police Academy, Lincoln Tunnel, I have the other one written down here, and Lexington as well, which are all super awesome missions. So for what he was telling me, they've learnt a lot from making these missions. And this is like the next level.
Yeah, also done many of the challenge modes we have.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of lessons learned, and we have a lot of lessons learned here as well.
They also, I mean, this is not really focusing on the Falcon Lost thing, but they are in charge of all the living world systems like wildlife and the base of operations, people hanging out. So you can blame them for the pooping dog, I think. Is that that's probably NSE?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say blame them. You can thank them. You
Dogs
can
need
thank
to
them
poop.
for the dog that poops, as well as such personalities as the guy that cries a lot, the guy with the back pain. All of these people are NSE's beautiful creations. I love that. So in terms of the narrative focus, when I was speaking with Noel, this is really interesting. So I asked him what was going on here. Obviously, okay, this is a spoiler warning. So I'm going to give people 10 seconds before we really go to the next step. But Colonel Bliss is dead. What? I'm sorry.
No.
So
Bliss.
I know. He seems like such a nice guy. No, not really. But so if you've played through the whole game, you know this already. If you haven't, I gave you warnings just now and at the start of the stream. Okay, we're good. Colonel Bliss is dead. The LMB still lives. There's a guy called Captain Perez, from what I'm told, who is trying to rally the whole LMB and make sure that they still have relevance and can keep control of New York City. So again, tactically they go down to this area, and it seems like a good decision. But your mission is to go in and remove them surgically, because explosions are probably not so good. Although there are some minor explosions, not like nukes, but anyway, you'll see some explosions soon.
There'll be explosions.
There'll be explosions.
A lot of explosions.
Yeah. Okay. So you probably want to keep those explosions to a minimum, but they happen. They happen. As you can see here, we're starting to go inside the stronghold of the LMB. Okay. So some of the things that were really interesting in that conversation I had with Noel was that there's Captain Perez, obviously, who's talking a lot to the rest of the LMB, a lot of his subordinates, and they recorded so much VO for this and all of these interactions that people are going to have a different experience each time they play this from the VO perspective, which is really, really cool. They actually have a node graph set up for all the, again, my ignorance, I hope I'm explaining this correctly, but it's all done in engine to randomize the discussions, and there's a logic behind these conversations that Perez is having with his subordinates, which is super cool. So every time you go in, you're not going to have a situation where you go in and it's, oh, this is the VO version A and then VO version B, and I know exactly what's going to happen, right? So you're going to have a conversation that is different every time. And, fun fact, oh, we haven't revealed this. There are 2 difficulties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We glossed over that. Incursions have 2 difficulties.
So they have hard mode.
Yes, let's go on that for a
And,
bit.
and hard mode is really hard. So hard mode, it's truly hard for the incursions.
It starts on hard mode, we should say.
Starts on hard mode. Hard mode is the easiest that you'll get.
Yeah, and with I don't think anyone should go into the incursion unless they have roughly level 31 in today, 31 high-end gear.
Okay.
That's sort of what you need.
So you need to be pretty up there. Just for the hard mode.
Yeah, that's for the hard mode.
All right. And then there's incursions on challenging mode as well.
Yeah, and for the challenge mode, I recommend people to get the new gear sets before trying the challenge mode.
'Cause
It's really, really hard.
The challenge mode.
Challenging, yeah.
Okay. We talked a little bit about it before. I haven't personally played any incursion stuff. Matthias, you've played it a little bit. Peter, you've played it a little bit more from what I hear. Matthias, how did your run-in with incursions go when you played?
It was brutal.
Yeah.
I actually haven't beaten it myself.
Yeah?
No.
Actually, in the footage that I have,
Yeah.
the people did not beat it. They got maybe like 2/3 at best. So it's really hard.
Yeah, it is. No, and you really need to be on your toes. You need to play as a group, as we said earlier. Balance each other out.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
That's cool.
play synergies, and also, I mean, it requires a higher degree of focus, I would say, than playing challenge mode even, and you need to maintain that focus for a long time. So it's a dexterity and mental challenge
Nice.
to do it. Absolutely.
It sounds like communication is going to be really important.
Yeah.
You've played. Did you ever beat it, Peter? On hard mode?
On hard mode, yeah.
Hard mode, you beat it. Okay.
Yeah, I beat it on hard mode. Very, very hard.
Yeah.
So since I could beat it, we made it harder.
Yeah.
As I said.
Yeah. It's if Peter can beat it, it's not hard.
Then it's probably too easy for
Probably
all
too
of
easy.
you.
Yeah,
watching.
that's true.
And for challenge mode, we suspected for a while that nobody could beat it. So we had a team from QC.
Okay, and QC guys, I talk about the QC guys on stream a lot.
Yeah.
These are the best people in the building in Ubisoft to play our game. They are beasts at our game. What happened?
Yeah, they played for a couple of days before they beat it.
Okay, took them a couple of days.
And then we're talking full work days, like only playing.
Yeah, so a
Yeah.
couple of long work days in there. Okay, that's scary, and apparently it's harder now than then.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, it's I'm kind of scared, or
I have to say it's loads of fun to play.
Okay.
If you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a good challenge, it's super fun.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, there are a bunch of talented, crazy gamers out there who will again beat it a lot faster than I do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But this is good for the gamers out there. There's a lot of people who are gonna have
And as we said,
great challenge,
you
because
also
it's
get
cool.
handsomely rewarded for doing so. So
exactly. All right.
it's worth
That's
it.
good. That's totally worth it. All right. So this is the first incursion. There will be more. We're not going to go into those, but
There's always more.
there's always more.
Yeah.
All right. This one of the other interesting points that I had with Noel. Obviously, you get different conversations on the VO side, but for people who really pay attention to the world in this update, including information that you will find out through those conversations in this mission, there's some more story happening in there, which I don't know. Maybe you guys don't even know about it. Maybe I got the inside scoop. But if people are paying attention to what's happening in this update, you will start to get a bit of a feel of what's happening in the world. So I'm excited about that. Again, no spoilers, but there are some really, really cool things happening in there. The other question that comes up a lot when we're talking about incursions is, and I kind of touched on it a little bit before, is how important is it that when I do get a group for it, that I we change our loadouts, we look at synergies and those sorts of things. Like, for example, if we all run in with the same loadout and all the same, skills, are we going to be okay? I don't know.
No.
All right, so
that's probably the simplest answer.
No,
you're
no,
probably
I-
not going to be okay. You need to find a
Yeah.
group where you have good synergies between your different playstyles, and some people can maybe focus on some specific areas.
You're gonna have to be able to execute disruption, crowd control, healing.
all right, so
DPS
you
burst, absolutely.
you probably want someone in the and that might be you, Peter, as well, because I know you focus on electronics and things. Do you were saying you like to heal? Do you ever do any builds that focus on crowd control, those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I do that as well. I have different characters, so
Okay. All right. From a crowd control perspective, if people are looking at getting into that style of gameplay, what kind of skills should they be looking at?
My personal favorite playing difficult stuff in a group for me is typically roll assault rifle, not SMG, and DMRs.
Okay. In terms of skills, what are you looking at?
And then I have the flashbang modded sticky bomb, which is a big, nice
yeah,
crowd
I've been
control,
using it a lot.
and a flame turret.
Yes.
And then you can wreak havoc and expose targets.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of
and
ways.
then don't forget your grenades.
No,
Yes.
the grenades are
Super
I
important
always forget
for all
to-
CC builds.
I
And
always
your
forget to drink my
consumables.
water.
Yeah.
and your consumables.
Water's always a problem for me. I always forget, and the bullets. Yeah, always a problem. So I would actually recommend people, if you're getting out there into challenge modes right now, try and think about how you're playing them, because that strategy that you can apply to challenge modes. Because right now, maybe you can complete challenge modes, but I would practice.
Yeah.
I would practice challenge modes and try and be as efficient as possible. Because a lot of people, obviously, they're trying to up their DPS, which is great, in terms of numbers. They're trying to up their health in terms of numbers, which is really good too. But if you can't apply that DPS to people, enemies, baddies, then it really means nothing. So,
I mean, you're not going to be able to just pick a spot on turtle in Falcon Lost.
yes, that's the interesting thing. Actually, people are kind of seeing this room right now. There's it's a little bit different. You can't sit in the corner. There's and again, there are new mechanics in here at play. And we won't go too in depth on this because I don't want to give away any strategies that are going to, people need to discover this on their own. We're not going to.
Hey, it's most fun.
I think that's fair. But there are some drones in here, in this footage. I don't know if they've popped up yet, but they will. That provides a whole new level of interaction with the player in terms of positioning and these sorts of things. Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I spoke to Matthias, other Matthias, not you, about this, and he was like, you do this, you need to do this, you need to prioritize this, and these sorts of things. And I was like, okay, great. I've got the information. I'm not giving that to you, but it's different from what people have experienced before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unless you've been shooting a lot of birds,
Then you're a monster.
Out and about in New York.
No.
It's the
Don't do
it's the
that.
first it's the first enemies in the game that challenge you vertically without being tied to a physical position somewhere.
That's true. And when you think
So-
about it, they're not bound by covers.
No.
So they have complete 360.
I'm fairly small. Yeah.
Yes. But they're going to provide a definite new challenge. Yannick actually passed me a couple of good questions from chat. The chat was going so quickly that we couldn't keep up or get the names of the people. But whoever asked these, he's got more for me. Fantastic.
Wow.
Let's go through these. So